Hey everybody, Roger Levin here with your orthodontic production pearl of the week. The question I want to ask you is, do you really want to grow your practice? I wrote an article recently and I don't think I've ever had so many emails coming in with questions and comments and all good discussion. But the article was entitled, Do You Really Want to Grow Your Practice? And we meet so many orthodontists. We've worked with over 4,700 orthodontists since 1980. And many contact us and ask us, how do I grow? Or I have a problem, or I want to protect my future. And part of the answer is, of course, we all want to protect our future. We all want a great career and we all want a great practice. But do you really want to grow your practice? Because if you do, I'm sorry to have to say this, it's going to take work. Now, it doesn't have to be miserable work. It can be well-paced. It doesn't have to be unpleasant. We've spent 40 years pacing out our consulting material in orthodontic management so we don't blow up the practice. Nobody wants to do that. We have to make our changes gradually because consulting to an orthodontic practice, we always say, is like changing a tire on a car that's going 65 miles an hour. You're working, you're doing, you're earning income, you're producing, and you're changing all at the same time. Now, when you go into a change process, it will take a little more effort. A lot of it's by the staff. They're the ones who need to be trained, and we put in the systems and they follow them. But you will have work to do, and that's where you have to ask yourself, and it's a fair question, am I ready to grow my practice? Now, the next question is, when should you grow your practice? And the answer is, you ought to think about growing your practice when two things happen. Either your growth slows down, because that is a form of decline. We call that the first stage of decline. You're growing, growing, growing. You're still growing, but a little more slowly. That's the best time to get started. But you're not always motivated to answer that question, do I really want to do the work to grow my practice? Because you're still growing and it feels good. It doesn't feel bad. It's not scary. And then the next stage after growth slows down, you're still growing, is you flatten out. And even flat doesn't feel so bad. I can't tell you how many orthodontists have said to me over the years, I'm interested in consulting because my practice is flat. It's almost a mantra. We've heard it so many times. And I get that. And that's sort of a wake-up call for a lot of orthodontists. But are you ready, if you're flat, to put in the work? Or do you need to be motivated in the third stage where your production actually drops? Now, logic would say, don't wait till the third stage. Don't even wait till the second stage. But logic doesn't always apply to, are you ready? What's going on in your life? What's going on in your practice? What's going on with your health, etc.? All of those, what's going on with the economy, all those play into a decision whether or not you really want to grow your practice. Now, of course, I run a consulting firm that's dedicated to increasing production and putting in systems. So I would say it's always a great time to grow your practice. Of course, I would say that, and I believe it. It's not a sales technique. I don't do sales in these videos ever. It's not a sales technique. It's a logic approach. But on the other hand, you have to determine if you're ready, because if you're not, you may get started and you may lose your motivation. But remember, delegation and your team are the critical elements of having a highly successful practice. They're also the critical elements of being ready to make changes. So I end with the question, are you ready to grow your practice? And if not, when will you be ready, if ever, to grow your practice? We see too many offices that did well and then didn't do well, never really reached their potentials, another version. So these are good questions to ask yourself. They're fair questions, even though the answer is it's always a good time to grow your practice, of course. And I say the answer, that would be the normal, commonsensical answer. But in reality, you have to be ready. As always, I wish you increased practice production and referrals every year, and I'll see you next week.